Hello and welcome back to Underlab. What is it about fantasy that appeals to us? Is it because it's something so outlandish that it's like nothing we know to exist in real life? Or is it the opposite reason, because we enjoy how fantasy contrasts with reality? Whatever the reason, there's plenty of comparisons we can draw between Undertale and real life that may have inspired it or simply happens to bear resemblance to the game. This video is something of a sequel to the first two videos I've already made on the topic. Click the annotations or the links in the description to check out both what would Undertale characters be in real life, and whether a world similar to Undertale's could really exist with its underground forests and giant electricity generators named the Core. I'll be looking at some completely new things in this video however, so if you've already seen those, stay tuned. Something I've been thinking about recently is the relevance of the Delta Rune. It's an interesting piece of the game's lore that foreshadows the ending of the true pacifist route. It's also hidden all over the place, and I'm pretty sure even I haven't spotted every single rune yet. Take a look at Gerson's shop for example. Did you ever notice the Delta Rune hidden in the darkness? I know I didn't the first time. It occurred to me that even though it's never specifically referred to as such in-game, the Delta Rune prophecy is a bit like a religion for the monsters. Now, whatever your opinion of real-life religions may be, many of them claim to offer people hope. The promise of going to heaven, for example, helps many people overcome obstacles in their lives. When we think about it, that's exactly the same purpose the Delta Rune serves. The monsters cling to their hopes and dreams, as we find with Waterfall's Echo Flowers, because they believe in the prophecy of the Delta Rune that tells them they'll someday be free. By itself, this would be a relatively loose connection to religion. However, did you also know that Asriel is a religious figure, referred to as the Angel of Death? Asriel spelt with a Z that is, rather than an S. The Delta Rune prophecy also refers to an angel, who will empty the underground, and most players agree that it's talking about Asriel, as he perfectly fits the prophecy. Therefore the Delta Rune has more connections to real-life religion than is immediately obvious. Another interesting comparison is the concept of the divine right of kings. In feudal times, there was a strong belief that the monarch of a society was appointed by God himself. That means they were considered to literally be the voice of God, which is what gave them their authority. Now, while I don't believe this translates perfectly onto Undertale, isn't it interesting how the Delta Rune seems so intrinsically connected to the Dreamer royal family? Asriel, Toriel and Asgore all wear Delta Runes. It's seen in the windows of the Judgment Hall. And it just so happens to be Prince Asriel who fulfills the prophecy. Just like the real life concept then, it seems Asriel was appointed by some higher power, such as destiny, to free the underground. Anyhow, that's enough about religion for now. I mentioned in my first video comparing our world to Undertale's that the ruins appear to be based on Greek architecture. Something interesting that's worth noting is that both New Home and the ruins use the same background in different colours, which appears to be inspired by Roman architecture, as indicated by the giant building with a dome roof. Domed buildings were typically used in Rome for the iconic Roman public baths. Arguably, it could also be inspired by Persian architecture, which may be indicated by the flat roofs of the buildings nearby. Buildings in hotter climates are often built with flat roofs, because rain isn't as much of a problem like it is in somewhere such as Europe, where pitched roofs are required to stop rainwater from collecting on top. This makes perfect sense, as with the unique exception of Waterfall, it doesn't seem like it'll be raining anywhere in the underground anytime soon. In my What Would Undertale Characters Be in Real Life video, I mentioned that the K9 unit consists of dogs that I believe are most closely comparable to real life huskies. However, I failed to mention the notable exception of Greater Dog, who much more closely resembles a breed known as a Pomeranian. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I was also a little too broad when I called Flowey a sunflower. A sex of the sunflower family is known as the Aster family, and it just so happens that Gaster is spelt the same, with an added G. Interesting. I also forgot to mention two characters clearly inspired by other real-life media. Papyrus is very clearly based off Skeletor from He-Man, perfectly emulating the cartoon villain's humorous inability and habit for nasal laughter. Gaster, meanwhile, appears to be inspired by Euboa from Yumi Nikki, as I mentioned in my recent What Inspired Undertale video. To take that even further, however, it seems that Euboa was inspired by No-Face from Spirited Away, the legendary film by Studio Ghibli. Maybe the three of them should get together sometime, for a reunion barbecue. While we're talking about what inspired specific characters, I feel it's worth returning to the Dreamer family. While I believe they're obviously anthropomorphic goats, it's possible that another inspiration for them was a mythological creature known as the satyr. The Romans depicted the satyr as a man with a goat's legs, ears, tail and horns. While they didn't have white fur and had hooves instead of feet, the basic idea is the same: goat people. It seems that the idea of humanoids with animal characteristics has been popular for centuries. While we're on the subject of mythology, Bergentrocken, which is the short theme that plays before Asgore's theme, oh, and forgive my pronunciation, translates to Mountain Rapture, is often associated with folklore that entails a king or legendary hero sleeping inside a mountain until one day returning. In some respects, this is similar to the entirety of monster kind. Trapped under a mountain, they eventually return to the surface, the day that Frisk and Azrael set them free. For something a little more grounded in reality, did you know that underground societies exist all over the world? Cities, homes and even shopping complexes have all been built deep under the earth for various reasons. One such city exists under Berlin, a series of connected bunkers built during World War II, which served to protect from air raids. Another underground city exists under Beijing, built during the height of tension during the Cold War. Though obviously none of these places are populated with real-life monsters, it's possible that an underground city is what inspired Toby Fox with the idea of a world hidden beneath a mountain. One place that may very well have a few monsters lurking within it, however, is the Paris Catacombs. A sprawling underground complex, a catacomb has the macabre definition of a gallery of tombs. Essentially they're a tunnel full to the brim with skeletons. Somewhere like the Paris Catacombs may have been what inspired the ruins. Not only is it a dead city, the game itself refers to the place as Catacombs. One thing that's confusing about that, of course, is that monsters don't bury their dead, seeing how they turn to dust. What exactly the ruins are the catacombs of then, is perhaps a question best left unanswered. It seems whenever we answer one question about Undertale, we can only ask a dozen more. I'll have to look into the ruins mystery a little more sometime. As you can likely tell, we could go on all day about the potential real-life influences that affected Undertale, though I've tried to keep to the most interesting ones. What other real-life inspirations and connections can you think of? Feel free to leave a comment. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video, try not to get spooked, and I'll see you next time.